Hi and welcome to JJ's Productions. We've got another Stoke City Vlogcast. We're going to be previewing Stoke City versus Swansea City. With me as always is Jan. How are you doing?
I'm okay, thanks love. Hi folks, I hope you're all okay.
So we've just come off the back of a game against Sheffield Wednesday and it was an interesting game to observe. What were your thoughts?
Well, I thought we were doing fantastic. I thought, wow, we've got our game together. We know what we're doing, and I thought this is going to be it. I predicted a 1-0 win for Stoke, and then it all went pear-shaped. But at the time of them playing yesterday, I said to myself, this is going to be a draw. They're not going to keep that lead. It's going to end in a draw.
It is the unfortunate thing because we were both watching the scorecast, we were even keeping an eye on the radio commentary for the most part, and even though there wasn't anything resembling a major threat from Sheffield Wednesday, there was just this nagging doubt at 2-1 that if they get half a chance they're going to take it and we won't get a goal back to get the lead back. So it was very frustrating when Barry Bannon scored because I think I'm not the only Stoke supporter who thought if that happens we won't get the win. You know, so it does feel like a defeat even though it was only a draw.
Yeah, I mean, how I heard it, Stoke had got most of the game. I can only comment on that because I wasn't at the match, and some of you will probably disagree or whatever. But to me, Stoke had the upper hand in the match, and to have 14 corners, this is where I can't believe that none of them came to anything.
I've got to agree that the number of corners, or at least the number of crosses we're sending in games, and none of them are being finished off, I think that's got to be something that needs working on. I don't know exactly what we can do as far as if it's strikers not reading balls in, or if it's the actual delivery is nowhere near good enough. This is where I do actually need to see a game, and I am getting frustrated on that part.
I'm sorry, love.
It's not your fault, but it's just one of these things where I think I would actually appreciate a Stoke supporter who's watching or listening to this vlog just actually telling us what is the problem with the crossing at the moment, because it could be one of two things, and from not being able to watch the games in full, it is quite hard for the both of us to actually comment on it accurately. So if anyone would be willing to drop a comment and offer their thoughts on what is going on, please do.
I mean, I think they've got everything right now with Afobe. He's coming into himself now and he's turning into, our top scorer. But in my opinion, they've got to work on the corners and set pieces. They can't just kick a ball in the air and hope that somebody will pick it up and score a goal. They've got to practice this time and time again. And I'll go back to Johnny Walters, Mr. Lush, when he did that set piece.
You're thinking of the set piece against West Ham, aren't you?
I am, yeah. Now that was brilliant. And if we can do something like that, then I'm sure our game will come together.
I have to agree there in that I think it's a case of I'm looking at our squad, especially the team that played yesterday, and I'm not seeing a natural set play taker. Apparently Joe Allen was getting criticism from Liam Lawrence in the sense that he's never taken a set piece in his life before this season. And you can understand where Liam's coming from in that Joe doesn't strike me as a natural ball deliverer. Although the trouble is we haven't got anyone else who's maybe better at it. You've got Tom Ince who perhaps could offer an option there, but I personally think Tom is better at striking a ball than actually delivering a ball. So You'd want him in or around the area rather than actually taking the corners.
Well, this is my thing, me nag, if you like, in a lot of football teams, that some of them have a striker taking a corner.
Yeah.
Now, I can't see the point of that.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, the biggest one that we've seen in recent years is Harry Kane taking them, but there have been instances across different leagues and even in the Premier League Championship where a striker who is pretty tall wants to take the corner for whatever reason. Yeah. It is quite strange when you see it.
But I do believe that we have got to get somebody who can take a good corner, deliver it properly and not just whack it, and try to get a set piece going. And in my opinion, again, all they've got to do is practice.
It was quite illuminating, actually, listening to the commentary for one of the England games over the international break, in that Gary Neville was discussing the fact that England's corner takers at the moment are the fullbacks, or at least they can be at times. I mean, we've got Kieran Trippier for England, who's taking free kicks and corners. If I'm right, Alexander-Arnold is also taking them when he's picked. I don't believe Luke Shaw or Danny Rose have done that, but it's just interesting that fullbacks are becoming set piece takers, and I can't help but look and think, is there a chance that Cuco Martina could take up a role like that, or maybe even Eric Peters? I wouldn't say Eric's great at crossing before anyone jumps on that one, but just the idea of someone who maybe isn't a natural wide man, but has got a good delivery. Because I actually agreed with what Gary said about it, that fullbacks are primarily, when they're on the attack, meant to be crossing balls in. So you would think that for free kicks and corners, a fullback can deliver a good set piece.
Yeah.
I'm curious what other people think there, but...
Well, that's what I've always been led to believe when I've watched football.
Yeah.
You know, that's what one of their purposes of being on the pitch. Not all the purposes, but just one, that they can put a good cross in.
Yeah. We're going to move on just slightly, just continuing on the Sheffield Wednesday review just for a moment, but apparently our new signing, Ryan Woods, he had a fantastic game, and him and Peter Afobe had a really good game together. They had a good partnership, and even though a lot of people have maybe picked out Joe Allen as the weak link out of the three, it hasn't been universal, the criticism against him. So I think I wasn't actually going into the game looking forward to seeing a midfield three, because I actually worried about support for Afobe. But it does seem like we managed to get some service to him in the sense that he got the 2 goals. So I am actually looking forward to seeing this midfield three, thanks to Woods coming in. Maybe there will be more chances created for Afobe.
I mean, I was a bit disappointed that Berahino wasn't picked, because I thought that's what we were trying to do, get the partnership with Berahino and Afobe.
Yeah, I do agree there. I think that was part of the reason I was also disappointed about going back to a 3, in that I was myself looking forward to a Berahino-Afobe partnership. But I can understand what the thinking was, that he wanted to build up the midfield again. But I'm also wondering if there are teams in the league where he'll say, right, I don't need to play 3, I can afford to play 2 up front.
I agree there again, son. The thing is, if you don't play the 2 together consistently, they're not getting played together well. And
it is a concern there, yeah.
They've got to build up this rapport with each other that will give us the goals.
I mean, it's very hard to actually predict when they'll get a chance, because it's like we're going to come on to Swansea very shortly. But I can't see us going to 4-4-2 for that game, because Swansea are actually quite an energetic team, and I would believe we'd want to stop the midfield up just to keep that going. So, yeah, I'd be very surprised if Berahino came into the team anytime soon, unfortunately.
Yeah, which I'm sorry about, you know, I mean...
It feels like he's been punished.
He's got to have a chance, yeah.
Yeah, it feels like he's been punished after actually a good start to the season, so I hope Berahino keeps his head up and takes a chance when he gets it again. But right now, I think the team has got to come before the individual, and if a 3-man midfield is good for the team, then Berahino, for now at least, is the one who has to make way, which is a shame.
Right, so let's get on to Swansea. Okay.
You've got your stats as usual. Do you want to reel them off?
They've not had a bad start. They've had 3 wins, 3 draws, 1 loss, and they lost to Palace in the League Cup. They're also in 6th place, whereas we're in 20th. And I don't think that is quite justifiable. It is on paper.
Yeah.
But I don't think it is in reality, if that makes sense.
Well, they have had a mass turnaround. I mean, I'm looking at the squad, and they've had 8 in and they've had 20 out, whether it's free transfers or actual paid transfers. So the numbers are quite staggering for them to be that strong.
Yeah, I mean, that's a lot. 20 out, you say?
and the actual fees, if I'm right, they've made a net profit if I've read right. So I can understand some Swansea supporters actually wondering how they've done so well in terms of results so far.
I mean, Josh, he notes down all the transfers and everything. I don't. I listen to him, but it just goes over my head sometimes if it doesn't involve Stoke. And I've got their top scorer here is McBurnie. Is he new or?
If I might be mistaken, but he is from the youth academy, I think. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, Swansea supporters, because I can't actually be certain on that. But I know for a fact he's been out on loan in the last few years. He went to Barnsley last season and did tremendous, considering he was only there for half a season, I think. So he definitely looks a really good championship striker. So yeah. I think that is one thing that has really benefited him at the start of the season, having someone who can score goals.
Yeah, well, as I say, he's their top scorer, and ours is obviously Afobe. He's on 4 goals to date. So, you know, they should. Them are the two that we should watch on Tuesday.
It wouldn't be a surprise if they were both equal price on the betting markets for the first goal scorer.
Yeah. So at the moment, McBurnie and Afobe are not far behind the Championship's top scorer. So things could possibly get better, and hopefully our Afobe will do his job on Tuesday against Swansea.
Well, both Afobe and McBurnie are on 4 goals. Neil Mapai is leading the league table with 7. So the way I see it is, either one, hopefully Afobe of course, will get the 3 goals. He could get a hat-trick and suddenly he's on level pegging with Mapai. So I'm quite hopeful that Afobe could be the one to lead us up the table, but equally Swansea will be thinking the same with McBurnie and he'll lead them on a charge.
Yeah.
What I'm finding most interesting watching this Swansea squad though, they seem like a really young, energetic team. I mean, to be honest, a lot of championship squads we've come across seem to have that character trait. But I was looking at the subs bench for their last game against Nottingham Forest, and they've got some seasoned players on there in Nathan Dyer, Wayne Routledge. They haven't even got Leroy Fur in the squad yet. I think they played Martin Olsen. I think it was Martin. They had him on the bench as well. Played a younger player, I think, in Declan John at left back. It's just interesting that some of the players who were possibly culpable for their relegation have been put to the sidelines for the start of the season, whereas we seem to be playing our players who were involved in the relegation. So I actually wonder if that is part of the reason why we seem to be struggling by comparison, because whereas Graham Potter has discarded some of the players who were at fault, we seem to be embracing them more.
Well, just my funny little thing that happened to me in Swansea, going back to one of our players. For some reason unknown to myself, I went into the Swansea shop whilst I was visiting South Wales, and a fella came up to me because I'd got something Stokey on, and he says, started giving me a bit of verbals, and
there's nothing too rude, was it?
Oh no, not rude. And he just started on about Joe going to Liverpool, and I said we could have got him easy. He says, in your dreams, he says, Joe Allen would never go to you. And I said, I wish I could have your number, I said, because I'd have a bet with you. And lo and behold, he's with us. I just wish I could see that Swansea supporter now and say, told you you'd end up with us.
I think one of the surprising things, and I would actually love to meet a Swansea supporter and pick the brain on this, that I think Joe's game has changed a little bit at club level since he played for them. I think back then he was, as someone online recently said to me, he was a neat and tidy player. He'd choose simple passes and keep the ball ticking over. Whereas now he seems to be more of a runner. He's always trying to put out fires, and that isn't his game in my eyes. You know, for me, he's got to change his game. He's essentially got to get back to where he was for Wales, which is just being a pivot, being the guy who's always available, the guy who's always able to make a short pass and keep the ball ticking over for our team.
But don't you think, Josh, that with us, he doesn't really know where he is, does he?
I don't think he has for 2 years.
No, he hasn't got a port.
It's as if we've tried to shoehorn him into what people have called the Bojan role, the number 10 role, and that really isn't what he specialises in.
No.
And I think last season when Paul Lambert came in, he got closer to what he wants to do, which is playing deeper in the midfield.
Yeah.
But even then, we were asking him to do something that isn't his best job, which is, as I've described, firefighting.
Yeah.
He'd be much better just being pretty close to Ryan Woods actually right now, which is just being someone who can always be available to the defence to pick up the ball, and when they're on the attack, someone who's just outside the area and who can keep the ball ticking over.
Yeah, they've got to do something with him. They've got to give him that distinctive role that he knows what he's going to do when he gets on that pitch.
It's alright when we're defending if he runs around like that, because to be honest, it's actually a desirable trait that you've got someone always willing to press the ball and try and win it back. What you've just said, he is running around like a headless chicken. Yeah, I mean, it's becoming a bit of a common saying amongst Stoke supporters, but unfortunately, Joe's reputation has taken a hit because of this willingness to actually over-defend, for lack of a better way of calling it.
Yeah.
I think if he just stuck to a position more, he would improve in everyone's eyes.
Yeah, I feel sorry for the lad, because he knows he's got the skill to do it, his job, but he isn't being allowed to do it.
Another thing this is just something that's ticked over in the last 12 hours or so, that I was looking at something on one of the Stoke fan pages, and it was regarding the stats for the Sheffield Wednesday game, and it was positive reading for Joe that he had actually had a good game in comparison to some other players. Yeah, I can't help but wonder if that is one of the things that does Joe, that it's like he's trying to be the best on the stats, yet maybe he doesn't need to be, he just needs to do the simple things rather than maybe the most yards run, the most passes made, etc. Just play it nice and simple.
Yeah, like I say, the headless chicken come into mind with me, and if he just kept his cool and just played in his position, I think he would play a lot better, but he's trying to impress all the time.
Yeah, and I don't necessarily think it's impressing the management, because I think Rowett has said he'll play him. I think that's pretty clear. If anyone wants him dropped, I don't think we're going to see it anytime soon.
No.
So, for me, the key is get the best out of him instead. And the way I look at that is, look at what he does for Wales.
Yeah.
I'm repeating myself, I recognise, but it's a case of that has got to be the source of the solution.
Yes, it does.
I mean, you look at how he played against the Republic of Ireland, and he was quite important. And I recognise, again, other people's arguments. Republic of Ireland aren't at the top of the international stage right now, but they are still an international team of credit. They aren't San Marino. So the way I look at it is, find out how he plays there, and you never know, it might translate to what we're trying here.
Yes, yeah, I agree with everything you've said, and like I say, they've got to do something, because I feel sorry for the lad, I really do, because he's got so much potential to help us.
Definitely. I mean, the way I see it is, when we gave him a contract extension in the summer, there wasn't a Stoke fan who was upset about it.
No.
I think the only reason people are upset is the fact that it was like, we knew that some of the negative traits that Joe has brought to the team so far were there. But I think for the fact that we also know he's a good player, we wanted the extension. So there wasn't actually an overly negative reaction at the time. It's only now people are questioning it.
Yes, I agree with everything you're saying, son. But there's nothing we can do. We can only discuss it, like we do with all of them. But in my opinion, they've got to do it.
So I'm going to change topic once more here, because we're getting close to the end of the video and we still want to do a prediction for the game. But one topic that my mum has had quite an interest in is Mame Diouf. Now, he gained a bit of a bad reaction after the Wednesday game for the fact that he was caught offside quite a number of times. Now, we've got quite limited options, I'd say, on the wings at the moment. We can play Diouf, we can play Ince, we've got Maritz Bauer, Bojan and Peter Etebo as options. What would you say is the solution to the Diouf problem as it stands?
Take him off, don't play him, and not at all. I wouldn't even put him on the subs bench. I'm sorry, but that man can whip it to goal, he can kick the ball, and then for some reason it goes about 200 yards off target. And I'm over exaggerating, I know, but I just cannot be doing with him as a player at the minute, and I'm losing my rag about him because I'm that passionate about Stoke. He doesn't fit into our team, I'm sorry.
What is interesting me, I'm not against Diouf myself, but I think we've got someone in the reserves currently, Maritz Bauer, who has played on the wing for the club. Granted, it isn't his preferred position, but currently he can't get in there. And
I still say that's something again about him and Rowett.
Well, right now we can't be certain on that, but it does seem like something funny has happened. But maybe it is just a case that he thinks Martina is the better right back, and he thinks that he's got to have a Tom Edwards on the bench for the youth policy the EFL has. But the way I look at it is, surely Bauer is an option to be considered alongside Diouf, i.e., it's either Diouf or Bauer. Because for me, I know people want Bojan in the team, but the way I see it is Bojan isn't a wide man, so it'd be just shoehorning him into the side doing that.
Yeah.
Whereas at least with Bauer, there is some natural width. You could even imagine it as a bit of a back five, where Martina can tuck in and just defend when they want, but he can also go forward when he likes and support Bauer. So I'm curious what other Stoke fans think. Would you have Bauer in the right hand side of the midfield, or would you persist with Diouf?
Bauer.
I mean, I've got to be honest, I'm tempted to go with Bauer as well.
I've got to apologise for all of you out there who like Diouf. Personally, I don't. And I can't help it. I'm sorry.
It's just a personal thing. You don't have to worry about it, love.
Yeah, and I would never argue with anybody about it because it's just my opinion.
So we're at the final few minutes. Predictions?
Oh, as always, I'm just going 1-0 for Stoke.
I've got to admit, with it being Swansea, I'm a little bit hesitant because they've started well. I've got an admiration for Graham Potter, even though we haven't talked about him at all in this video. I will try and talk about it in the repeat fixture, assuming he's still manager. But I think I'm going to go for a 1-1, just in the sense that...
Sacre bleu!
Yeah, I think the solutions aren't there yet, and I hope they'll come after Swansea. So, I'm hoping for what was considered a positive performance against Wednesday and a repeat against Swansea.
I'll let you off.
Okay. So this has been Josh and Jan from JJ's Productions. I hope you've enjoyed this vlogcast. If you haven't already, give it a like, and if you want to hear more, subscribe to the channel, where there's a playlist at the end of the video where you can watch more Stoke City Vlogcast episodes. Until next time though, bye for now.
Okay folks, bye bye, see you next time.